on this game, your USA Today comments regarding Hackett. How do you look at that as a chapter in your coaching career where some people might say Hackett got revenge today?
Yeah, listen, they played better than us, and I credit, Robert and that staff. They won the game, and I think that's how I look at it.
Coach, do you regret, though, making those comments?
I already addressed that, though, and it's a fair question, but I think we already addressed that the next day.
Sean Payton, humble pie. And look, my theory on that, oh, God. There it is. Kevin James, who played Sean Payton in Home Game, Home Team, Home something.
Something like that.
Netflix movie.
All-season champs.
The Jets social media team giving it to him. Look, I firmly believe he was off the record. He thought he was off the record.
Yeah.
But he failed to say off the record. So all you got to say, anybody out there, if anyone is interviewing you and you want your words to be off the record, it's very easy. All you have to say is off the record. And then if the reporter agrees to go off the record, nothing you say can be used by the reporter. If you don't say it, you're stuck. And I think Sean Payton knows he's sufficiently media savvy that he screwed up and didn't say off the record. That's what I believe happened. He wouldn't have said that knowingly on the record, but he made the mistake of not invoking the off the record.
Got too comfortable with somebody that he'd had a relationship with before or done some other interviews with. I can get behind that. And I think there's other people in the NFL that think that exact. I mean, first off, Sean Payton's not an idiot. I have a hard time thinking he's just going to go, let me say all this crazy stuff, and it won't come back to.
But everyone was like, oh, Sean Payton knows exactly what he's doing. He has a plan for this. He's sending a message. The message was to the Jets, and we're going to come kick your ass in week 5.
They were highly motivated. It was a sloppy game, right? It had a little bit of everything. The Denver did control it early on. But, hey, what we thought would be a pain in the butt factor for the Jets, defense and run game, kept them in the football game. Zach Wilson made a few plays here and there, but ultimately it was their defense and their run game that just took over really late second quarter and then the third quarter and into the fourth, where the Broncos went through a period of time where they had a hard time getting anything going on the offensive side of the ball. It was few and far between as far as plays to be had that way, and the Jets kind of suffocated them, let alone, hey, making some mistakes of their own on the way. But on this day, their defense forced more mistakes from the Broncos than Zach Wilson and company made on that end. And listen, that's the way they want to play. They want to run the ball, control the clock. Hopefully defense gets a turnover or two, and then Zach Wilson can make 4 or 5 throws in the football game to flip the field position. And they want to play that kind of game and win that kind of way. And it was close to that yesterday.
Zach Wilson had 199 passing yards. Breece Hall had 177 rushing yards on 22 attempts.
He's a game changer.
That one long run that was like, okay, they're going to win this game. Like it was in doubt for a while, and the Broncos led, and then here's the moment where Breece Hall does Breece Hall things, and off he goes, and the Jets take the lead early in the third quarter.
You just felt like if they could get the lead, right? That's kind of what it felt like. And again, they weren't necessarily sharp early on in the football game.
There was that sequence at the end of the half where it was like, what the hhell are they doing?
They like Baltimore, blew a chance to get an easy field goal before the half, right? Here's one thing. There's 2 moments in the game where the Jets have to be better at managing situations, or their quarterback, who should not be in the total trust tree that we can just go, hey, a big moment, we'll just trust him to do the right thing and make the right play. He's certainly not there yet. We're on a good trajectory here the last few weeks, but it was the end of the first half. They threw a little 5-yard out route, remember, with no timeouts. He threw it behind. The guy caught it. He couldn't get out of bounds. He fell to the ground. They couldn't get up and clock the ball. They didn't get to kick a field goal. And then at the end of the football game, of course, it's 24-21 at that point, and they throw a back shoulder to Garrett Wilson, and like Lamar Jackson, he throws it too far inside. Patrick Surtain gets it, but my big thing is just like, hey, he's done good, but don't just put the game on his shoulders here. Be conservative here. Go up 27-21, and like we've talked about all along, there's such pressure on Sean Payton and Russell Wilson. Make them go down and score a touchdown on your great Jets defense. They dodged a bullet here, certainly. It was a big win for the Jets, but they definitely weren't, lack of mistakes there along the way to make things interesting.
Here's Robert Saleh with some candor about Zach Wilson's performance and what the Jets could have done if they had been a little more on some of the details that Chris mentioned.
Thought Zach did a great job. You know, it was lucky that the interception was unfortunate. Great play from them. But overall, I thought he did a good job. There's, just offensively as a whole, we got to be better in the red zone. Had a chance, probably could have blown that team out of the water. But still, like I said, gritty win. Ran the ball well, moved the ball, stayed ahead of the chains. Thought we were really good in the second half.
Could have blown that team out of the water, and he's right. And look, I think it was critical that they won that game, not for Nathaniel Hackett. I'm surprised they had so much kind of pent up, kept their mouths shut about it. It was 2 months ago. They really were ready.
Yeah, they handled their business,
but
didn't talk too much.
But that game was critical because it validated what we saw last Sunday night. They turned a corner last Sunday night.
Right.
If they lost that game, it was all wasted.
Yeah.
So, because I think it was, I can't remember who I got into this argument with on Tuesday about the two New York teams, that they both stink. They're both hopeless. I don't think you and I had this conversation.
No, it wasn't me.
But it's like there's a fundamental difference between the Jets and the Giants
Definitely.
right now. If you don't see that, then there's nothing I can do to help you.
Right.
The Jets were down 17-0. They made it a game. Questionable officiating decisions. They could have won that game. The Giants just look like they have nothing.
No.
They are two very different teams. And
Agreed.
yesterday, the Giants continue to look like they have nothing.
Right.
And the Jets parlayed what they did against the Chiefs into a victory. And now they have the Eagles coming up. The Eagles are vulnerable. The Eagles have been screwing around with lesser teams that they should have blown out. They've had games they should have lost. Pretty much every game they could have lost. And the Jets have a chance to get to 3-3. I mean, what did we expect the Jets to be through 6 games with Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, we said
3-3 would have been the best case scenario.
Right.
They may be 3-3 without Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, to your point with the comparison with them and the Giants, like it's ridiculous. The Jets have things about their team that are elite. I mean, their D-line and their defense is it's special. Right? Now, their offense, of course, is just finding its way. It's got to help them out a little bit. And like we saw yesterday, they stay on the field. They control the ball a little bit. And the Jets have, they're not worn out from being on the field every 4 plays. They can fly around and cause havoc and turnovers, a.k.a. strip Russell Wilson at the end of the game, pick it up and run for a touchdown. Game over. Defense does their job, right? Oh, another big moment in the game was Pirine fumbling the ball as the Broncos were driving. And another point I want to say, what was it, maybe early 4th quarter, right? Jets calls a big turnover there. I think that led to a Jets field goal. Mims fumbled another time on a trick play by the Broncos. So, when the Jets are hitting on all cylinders, I think like we're talking about, it's Zach Wilson managing the game with a splash play here or there. Let's run the football and let our defense fly around and be fresh. And we've kind of seen that the last 2 weeks to where they're getting closer to that. And I think that should be encouraging for all Jets fans.
What did you think about the decision by the Broncos to clock it with a second left down 10 and throw a Hail Mary?
Yeah, I don't really know. I'm as you're saying that, I'm going, you know what? I do remember watching that there at the end of the game because we were in here in the studio. And I don't even know what the point of it was.
Right.
Other than,
cares? Who cares if you get the extra 7? Other than it looks better.
I think that's sometimes coaches like the look better, like you've talked about in past weeks. I do think there's that.
31-28 looks like it was a closer game than it was. We didn't get beat by double digits.
Right. Well, you get a touchdown, and he gets an extra 50 yards on his stat line, and go, hey, look, my quarterback threw for 250 and another touchdown. Right in the end of the year, nobody will remember the context, and you just go, hey, look at that. Coaches are like that. Certainly, they play the game within the game, but yeah, that was kind of odd. Now that I think.
Especially because I had somebody point out to me a couple of weeks ago, the Dolphins could have kept striving. Right. They could have gotten to 73.
Yeah, right.
And they didn't.
Right.
What's the point of trying to get that extra touchdown late? And I think it may just be you're frustrated. It's just
you're just going to play to the end.
We saw the clip
and whatever.
They had the ball with 30 seconds left. Fumble gets returned for a touchdown, and it's night for the Broncos, and you just want to do something. There's nothing we can do until next week. Let's just do something here. But it's meaningless. You're putting your guys at risk on a live play that had no value whatsoever.
Yeah.
There was nothing to be gained from it. And I guess the argument would be the thing that Sean McVay should have said a few weeks ago when he kicked the meaningless 3-pointer. At some level of the tiebreakers, it's net points in common. Not that the Broncos are going to be applying tiebreakers.
I don't think so.
Let's be realistic about it. They're not going to be applying tiebreakers to anybody except to see who gets a higher draft pick. And in that case, you want to lose the tiebreaker, not win the tiebreaker. All right. Anything more from that game? We're actually 4 minutes ahead.
Wow,
How are we 4 minutes ahead? How is that
that's
happening on a
amazing.
Monday?
No, I think I think the other thing I would just take from that game too with the Broncos, their defense was a little bit better certainly, but the one of the positive things of the football game was this damn running back McLaughlin, right? Number 38, Jaleel was one of those guys, went to a smaller college, right? And I didn't know what to expect of him and what he was going to look like. But it looks like they found something at the running back position. I mean, you talk about 3 rockets up your butt and looking explosive. I mean, when he was on the field, that Jet defense, as we know, is fast as hell. And they weren't as fast as Jaleel McLaughlin. So that could be something, just a little bit of a silver lining for the Denver Broncos as they go forward here. Another weapon that certainly can help out their offense and see where it goes from there. But like you said, big win for the Jets. And it does. That's the big thing. It validates the win or the loss from last week. A little bit vice versa of like what we're going to, I think we're going to talk about in a little bit is the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills, you got that great game. Hey, we're one of the best teams in football. We beat the Dolphins. Look what we did. And then you go over to London and kind of get controlled by the Jacksonville Jaguars. It takes off the luster of the win the week before. So good job by the Jets. They are building something. Zach Wilson looks like he's on the right trajectory. And I also like Salah's not going to feed into the media narrative. He's being strong about, hey, Zach's doing good. He's doing some good things. We got to help him out and all that. He's not going to let that take a crazy turn there, but we'll see where things go for the Jets.
Jaleel McLaughlin was undrafted out of Youngstown State. He previously played for Notre Dame, not university, Notre Dame College.
Right.
He is the NCAA's all-time leading rusher with 8,166 yards. And he got a chance last week when Javonte Williams left the Bears game with a hip injury, finished strong. Williams wasn't able to go. They got something. They want that 3-headed monster at running back, and now the third one is the undrafted rookie to go along with Javonte Williams and Samaje Perine, and I think we're going to see more and more of him as the season unfolds because he's the guy that Peyton found. Peyton and Peyton, George and Sean, they found this guy undrafted, and I think they're gonna let it ride a little bit.
He makes sense for them. He's their kind of guy, right? He's looked like some Alvin Kamara-ish type of skill set where he's awesome in space. He can run between the tackles, and he looks like he's going to be a handful if he gets better at coming out of the backfield catching footballs that way. To where they might have something there at the running back position.
And it gives the Broncos some hope and something positive because there isn't much right now that they've lost to the Jets, and we figure out how deep this hole is going to be for the 1-4 Broncos. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.